Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit more technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, because in today's video, I want to discuss the fact that Bitcoin is on the precipice of the beginning of a Bitcoin bull market. Whether or not Bitcoin enters a bull market here is going to be decided in the next couple of days based on a couple of crucial movements here on the Bitcoin chart that show up on the daily chart and the weekly chart. We're going to be looking at whether or not these are going to tell us that Bitcoin is going to move into a bull market or not, and we're going to do some more general short-term technical analysis as well. From there, the topic of censorship comes up because we're going to be discussing someone that you may have heard of, Milo Yiannopoulos, and we're also going to be discussing Mastercard with the SEC blocking payments to far right-wing individuals. This is very, very scary. We're going to be discussing this a little bit later in today's video, something you're definitely going to want to learn about and be aware of, because this is definitely a dystopian, as the article would put it. Either way, guys, we're going to be discussing all of that and more in today's video, so if you do enjoy today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that notification bell, guys. It does help out the channel when you do that, and I would be appreciative if you did it. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it, guys. Bitcoin is currently trading around $5,726 and change. And as you guys know, Bitcoin here over the last couple of days has run exponentially bullish. Bitcoin ran very, very well here, all the way up to $5,800 just a couple of days ago. But from there, Bitcoin has basically just been trading sideways, coming up here, testing resistance at 5,800 or so before moving to the side. And we did, in fact, see Bitcoin fall over for a little bit yesterday, just after I finished recording yesterday's video, in fact. But, of course, I went ahead and let that video go up because I figured Bitcoin would come back up here and rally to the upside again. And lo and behold, it did. Bitcoin is still quite bullish at the moment. We're waiting to see another breakout to see just how bullish Bitcoin is. But based on this price action over here, we can ascertain that Bitcoin is looking very strong, and the bulls are most certainly in the driver's seat. They're the ones in control of this market at the moment. One thing I want to bring to your attention is a little range right here. This ascending triangle pattern right here, excuse me, not triangle pattern, trading channel right here that Bitcoin finds itself in. This is moving to the upside. You could define this as some kind of flag, for example. This could be looked at as a sort of bull flag for this rally. Bitcoin trading sideways, slightly moving to the upside. More often than not, when Bitcoin or a market enters a trend like this, it's going to break bullish. And that's a very good thing for us, because if we want Bitcoin to enter a bull market, the decisive points that we're going to be discussing in today's video, we want to see Bitcoin break to the upside. We don't want to see it break to the downside. If Bitcoin breaks to the downside, that probably prolongs the accumulation phase that Bitcoin has been in for another couple of months. That probably pushes off the Bitcoin bull market starting till sometime later on in the summer. But if Bitcoin breaks bullish here and does continue moving to the upside, as I think it will, then we're probably going to see that bull market kick off sometime this month in May and see technical confirmation of that. Speaking of technical confirmation, let's go ahead and discuss the main topic of today's video, the elephant in the room, what I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. That would be the 50 weekly simple moving average. This also shows up on the exponential moving average. This moving average, and the fact that we've crossed it right here, is big news. This right here is something that I've discussed in a couple of videos, but this is a very important development. That's why in the last couple of days, when Bitcoin broke bullish and Bitcoin started rallying to the upside like this and started moving up right here, ever since the 30th of April, Bitcoin's been rallying quite strong. Ever since that happened, I've been talking about how important that is and how that might actually be the catalyst for a new Bitcoin bull market. Here's why. This 50 weekly moving average has just about every single time in history predicted a Bitcoin bull market. Every single time that Bitcoin's gotten above it. The one exception was right here with this little fake out, and you could really call this resistance. Right here when Bitcoin first got above the 50 weekly moving average on the oldest chart in Bitcoin history, Bitcoin bull market kicked off. The next time that Bitcoin got above that moving average, right over here in September and October of 2015, Bitcoin bull market kicked off. Guess when the last time Bitcoin got above the 50 weekly moving average was? Well, technically it hasn't happened yet, because this weekly candlestick hasn't closed yet. That's the decisive point that I'm waiting to see. I want to make sure that this weekly candlestick is going to close green, and that weekly candlestick is going to close green in not too long. They close on Monday. Today is Sunday. Tomorrow, if this candlestick can stay up here above the 50 weekly moving average, and in fact, if we can see another candlestick, green or red, I don't care, but another candlestick stay closed above this 50 weekly moving average, in my opinion anyway, that is one of the several technical confirmations I look at for the start of a Bitcoin bull market. One of them is the 20 weekly exponential moving average, which I don't have up right now, but we can go ahead and look at the 20 simple. That's very similar in the way it moves. This moving average down here, the 20 exponentials right around there. That moving average is one I look at. The 50 moving average is one I look at. Some things on the RSI, which I've discussed in previous videos, I look at, and the $6,000 level, because that is one of the most important levels in Bitcoin technical analysis, especially for the beginning of a Bitcoin bull market. Those are things I look at as technical confirmations of a Bitcoin bull market starting. And the fact that Bitcoin is above this is a very good sign indeed. Anyway, continuing on with our TA, there are several other things that we want to discuss. One of them has to do with the RSI and the weekly RSI. I've talked about this in previous videos, so we will be very brief, but this is one of those confirmations I look for. Bitcoin is currently sitting above the 53, 54 level on the RSI. Whenever Bitcoin is above this level, typically it is in some kind of bull market. Whenever it is below this level, typically it is in some kind of bear market. We're on a young chart here. Let's look at an older one. If we look out on the older charts here, we will see that just about all the time when Bitcoin's below this, bear market, above it, bull market. And guess what Bitcoin has just done here in the last couple of days? This weekly candlestick, this is the reason I'm calling this so decisive, guys. This is a very important candlestick. The 29th of April 2019's green candlestick. This is the beginning of the Bitcoin bull market potentially. We will see. Maybe it's not yet, but the way it's looking, there's a good chance that this is the very first candlestick of bull market. Based on what we've seen with the 50 weekly moving average, and also too with what we're seeing on the RSI here. When RSI gets above this level here, above the 55-ish level, 55, 57 level, as we saw back over here in October of 2015, that was when that Bitcoin bull market started, as you guys know, right back over here. That was when we got above that. That was when a Bitcoin bull market kicked off. And we're seeing the same thing happen right now. A Bitcoin bull market is coming, guys, but the time is the question. The time is the question. When is that going to happen? Is it going to happen now, or is it going to happen in a couple of months? Well, guys, give it another week, and I'm pretty sure we're starting a Bitcoin bull market. We'll see what happens from there, though. Anyway, that's basically what we want to discuss in the technical analysis portion of today's video, the decisive nature of the point that Bitcoin finds itself in, and whether or not Bitcoin will manage to maintain the bullishness that it's had here over the last week or so. If it can, this is very good news for the bulls, and I do think that we're going to see a lot of bullish exuberance coming here over the next couple of weeks. Even though $6,000 is sitting right above us, I still think we're going to see a lot of bullishness coming out of Bitcoin coming here in the next couple of weeks and months. Anyway, let's get on to some very disturbing news here, guys. Coinbase, as you guys know, is one of the biggest exchanges in the cryptocurrency market. In fact, one of the largest fiat to cryptocurrency exchanges that there is. And you guys, you may or may not know the name Milo Yiannopoulos. I'm very familiar with the name Milo Yiannopoulos because I'm quite political in my personal life. I'm going to make sure that none of that spills through here. You guys have no idea which side I'm on. And anything I say, if it makes it sound like I'm on the left or the right, that was a mistake. That doesn't necessarily mean that's true because this is going to be a very political topic here. Either way, Milo Yiannopoulos is someone that many people would consider far right, and many people on the right would consider him not far right. I'm not going to get into that. Point is, he's a very controversial figure for a lot of reasons, and he obviously, as you can see here, I delight in offending people. He makes himself a very controversial figure. He likes that. He's quite a big fan of that persona. But recently, apparently, he tried to sign up for a Coinbase account, and as you can see here in a tweet, Coinbase, please verify your email address. 2,000 hours, 5 minutes, 2,000 hours, 8 minutes, notice of account closure. Within 3 minutes, Milo Yiannopoulos was banned from Coinbase. The Silicon Valley-based exchange has not publicly commented on the matter, with this being the latest development in the apparent institution of corporate censorship. And a lot of people are calling this just that, corporate censorship, and also speculating that perhaps that Coinbase has some sort of blacklist where they have certain people who they don't want on their platform. You know, that is really scary. That is very disturbing to hear. Whether or not that's true or not, of course, we can't confirm this. Milo could have photoshopped this. I don't know. Like I said, we can't verify what's happened here just because of a screenshot on Twitter. Or actually, this is on Gab, I believe, gab.ai. But nevertheless, this is rather disconcerting if this is true, because Coinbase is a very major cryptocurrency exchange, as noted by the fact that we're looking at the Coinbase chart right now. We do all of our technical analysis on the Coinbase chart. Coinbase is an extremely large player in the cryptocurrency space, and for them to be censoring anyone, even someone that they perceive as having hateful views, is very, very scary. Guys, the entire point of the cryptocurrency industry, the entire point of cryptocurrency technology, and for Bitcoin, and for this entire space, the entire point of this is decentralization and freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a very big cornerstone of the cryptocurrency market, and the ability to not be censored. Anti-censorship is a huge deal. And if this is true, if something like this is verified that Coinbase is censoring people, I don't care who they're censoring, unless they're censoring like murders and genociders, which Milo Yiannopoulos most certainly is not. Unless they're doing something like that, this is a very big development and something that makes me very unhappy with Coinbase. This is what we're trying to get away from with the cryptocurrency space, is getting away from the potential censorship by people who think that they have the right to influence other people, even though it's none of their business. Milo is not killing anyone. He said some very controversial things. I will not defend him in that necessarily. But at the same time, he has the right to say those things because, at least in America, there's something called the freedom of speech. Now, that may not be true elsewhere in the world, but in America and in the first world, freedom of speech is a very important belief, especially in the cryptocurrency community and the libertarian beliefs that surround the cryptocurrency space, that Coinbase should and well is aware of. This is a very big development, not something that I'm happy to see. And unfortunately, it's not the worst story that we've seen today, because this is just one instance of censorship. Milo Yiannopoulos being censored on Coinbase. That is nowhere near as severe as the next story here. Let's go ahead and read this. Dystopian approach. SEC gives blessing to MasterCard's idea of cutting off customers with right-wing views. And by the way, guys, this is not because this says right-wing views. If this said left-wing views, it'd be the exact same thing. Like I said, I'm coming at this completely politically neutrally. This has absolutely nothing to do with which side is being censored. This has to do with the concept of censorship itself. I don't care who's being censored, so long as you're not causing physical harm to anyone. I have a problem with it more often than not. Most of the time. It depends. Sometimes there's nuance. Blocking payments to individuals or groups by financial service firms impedes the freedom of speech in a free society, journalist Ben Swan has told RT, and I completely agree with that assessment. The New York-based firm is reportedly being forced by left-leaning liberal activists to set up an internal human rights committee that would monitor payments to white supremacist groups and anti-Islam activists. And guys, I think most of us anyway can agree, white supremacists, terrible people, anti-Islam activists, if you're just hating on all Muslims, that's not a great thing either. I am in no way defending that. But at the same time, if they're not going out and causing physical harm to these people or advocating for the physical harm of these people, so long as they're operating within the bounds of the law, it is not on MasterCard, nor is it on any other public or private entity to go and try to censor these people. This is a very, 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 very big problem. If something like this becomes allowed to spread and exist, these kind of signs that we've been looking at here have been, stuff like this has been going on for a long time, and we're still doing okay, but we're definitely moving in the wrong direction as a society, I believe, and that's one of the reasons why I love cryptocurrency so much. This is a very big problem if something like MasterCard is able to start censoring people. MasterCard and Visa are two of the biggest payment processors on the planet. I have a MasterCard. My debit card, my credit card are MasterCards. If MasterCard is allowed to go and start censoring people based on what opinions they don't believe to be savory, and by the way, I don't necessarily disagree with them, that white supremacist group and anti-Islam group, I don't think that that's a very good thing either. I'm not agreeing with those people. But at the same time, so long as they're not breaking any laws, they are well within their rights to say those things, so long as they're only saying them and not acting on them. MasterCard has no right, nor do they have any obligation, to go and start censoring these people. It is a very big problem if they do. And if they do, and if they are able to go ahead and go through with this, this is absolutely a failure of the first world. This is a failure of democratic society, and this is a failure of freedom of speech, and it's a very big problem that I cannot stress enough. There's a reason I've said that like 15 times. We don't want to see this kind of thing happening, because when you have someone like MasterCard and Visa, basically a duopoly in the payment processing industry, if you have one of them start censoring the other, if they start censoring people, then perhaps the other one, Visa, would follow the same route if they realize that they're able to do it. You don't want this kind of thing in a society, guys, because when you see dystopian societies start to form, the first couple of things that start getting eroded, you start seeing the freedom of speech eroded. You start seeing the ability for people to defend themselves eroded. You start seeing the ability for the press to actually criticize the government being eroded. You start seeing certain freedoms being eroded, and one of them is the freedom of speech. Even if those people that are talking nonsense, like white people are superior to black people, I'm not political on this channel, but I will tell you that is complete nonsense. If you see people saying that and you want to censor them, that is a wrong thing to do. And the reason for that is not because they are right. The reason for that is because if you open the door to censor people that are crazy, then you open the door to censor people that are not crazy. And then you open the door to censor people that simply disagree with you. And then you open the door for tyranny, authoritarianism, and the kind of thing that happened in the Soviet Union, in Maoist China, in Vietnam, in Venezuela, in Nazi Germany. You see this kind of thing happen all the time. Democratic governments are taken over all the time because people start losing their freedoms. And we don't want that kind of thing to happen from someone like MasterCard, guys. This is why cryptocurrency is so important. It's so very important that we have cryptocurrency, because there are many different ways to censor people. One of them is by taking away their ability to use money. Look no further than Venezuela and what's going on with their currency. One of the easiest ways to censor people is by making them all poor. And you don't want to have that kind of thing happen by ruining your currency or by censoring people's use of said currency. And that's why Bitcoin is so very important and why I'm such a big fan of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, the blockchain industry, blockchain technology, and where Bitcoin is going. Because even if this kind of thing, MasterCard and Visa potentially, Visa isn't a part of this, but I'm saying Visa might go the same route if MasterCard does. If this kind of thing with MasterCard is allowed to happen and Bitcoin isn't in a place where people can use it as a proper currency in the same way you could use the US dollar, where are people going to turn? Even if they have straight up wrong beliefs, that is not MasterCard's decision. That is the decision of the democratic governments, not the government, the democratic process to eliminate those kind of people through the democratic process from their positions in office so that they don't have any influence anymore, or very little influence in government anyway. Guys, this is just something that I can ramble on all day about, and it's something that I think you guys get the point of. This is very scary stuff, and hopefully this doesn't come to pass. Hopefully this kind of thing doesn't happen with MasterCard. I will be following this story very closely. If I find any updates, I will tell you guys about it, because like I said, this is definitely something that doesn't concern me because I'm not a white supremacist, but definitely is concerning for freedom of speech. And definitely something that concerns the cryptocurrency industry, because this might actually be bullish for Bitcoin. It might be bullish in the short term for Bitcoin, because if some of these people who are being disenfranchised from their ability to access their money start entering the cryptocurrency market, sure, that might be good for price action because they're buying Bitcoin. But also at the same time, guys, I don't really want white supremacists being associated with Bitcoin. But also at the same time, that is kind of what Bitcoin is for people to come to, if they're being censored, so that they have the ability to use money and be able to spread their own ideas, even if those ideas are abhorrent. That is the entire point of the idea of libertarianism and the idea of cryptocurrency. So guys, tell me in the comment section down below what you think about today's analysis. Do you think Bitcoin is actually about to kick off a bull market, break through $6,000? That was a terrible arrow. Kick off a bull market and break through $6,000, start moving to the upside, and potentially go to price targets over $10,000 later on this year? I think that's definitely possible. Let me know what you guys think about 2019 and what your forecasts for the market are this year. I love reading your comments. I try to read every single comment. Sometimes I don't get to, but I do try to. So if you have anything you want to let us know and you want to start a conversation, comment section is a great place to do that. If you did enjoy today's video, guys, definitely consider dropping a like and hitting that subscribe button. And like I said with the comments, also tell me what you think about this. I'm most interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this Milo story and what you have to say about this MasterCard story. Very concerning that both of these drop on the same day. Like I said, anything that I said in this video that may tip you off as to what side I lean, left or right, that was a mistake on mine, and it was not something that it was not me trying to tell you what side I lean. You guys have no idea which side I lean. That is my official position. I am completely neutral as far as it concerns politics, except for very far-reaching things like white supremacism. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.